One time when Sandra was really on Charles's neck, disturbing him about when he would file for the divorce, because she wanted to know if she was wasting her time with Charles, he told her that she meant something special to him and that he was working on it. Sandra believed him. She had given her heart to Charles, and she trusted his words. He always made her feel special. She remembered the day they went to the hotel where they usually met. That day, Charles met one of his friends there. He told Sandra that the man was his friend and introduced her to him as his wife-to-be. Sandra's heart was filled with joy. She felt important. She felt like the woman Charles truly loved. But was it all planned? Was she just being used? Many thoughts ran through Sandra's mind. At some point, she started thinking that Charles had been playing her like a piece in a game. But how could that be? They had gone on many vacations together, just like normal couples. He always assured her that he had no feelings for his wife. He said he only pitied her, and that was the reason he was still with her. He promised Sandra that once he finished his building project, he would divorce his wife. Sandra believed him because she loved him. For over a year, she kept Charles a secret from her friend Lucy. That was how Charles wanted it. Even when Lucy noticed the happiness on Sandra's face, she never said a word. Many times, she wanted to tell Lucy about all the sweet things Charles did for her, but she never did. She loved Charles too much to go against his wish. Then, everything changed. Sandra had gone to Charles's office 2 days ago, excited to tell him the good news. She thought it was good news, but Charles did not see it that way. She told him she was pregnant. Instead of being happy, Charles told her to abort the baby. He did not even take a second to think about it. Sandra was shocked. She did not see it coming. Charles threw money at her as if she was a prostitute. He did not care about how she felt. He did not even think about whether she could die in the process of abortion. Sandra was deeply hurt. In her pain, without thinking, she went straight to Charles's house and told his wife, Veronica, that she was pregnant for him. She did not care how Veronica would feel. She was too angry to care. But after she had said it, she realized she had made a mistake. Had she gone too far? She wished she could take back her words, but it was too late. She had already said it. The moment the words left her mouth, she saw how broken Veronica was. Later that night, Sandra was in the bedroom alone with Charles. She could not hold back her emotions anymore. She needed answers. She looked at Charles and asked him, "Did you ever love me?" Charles remained silent. Sandra could see guilt written all over his face. She moved closer to him and lifted his face with her hands. With tears in her eyes, she asked again, "Did I really mean something to you? Was I just a joke to you?" Charles finally spoke. "Yes, I do. I love you. I have always loved you. I am sorry for everything I have put you through." For a few seconds, they both remained silent. They stared at each other without saying a word. Then, slowly, Charles moved closer to Sandra and kissed her. As he was kissing Sandra, Veronica suddenly opened the door to the bedroom where they were. She stood there watching them. The kiss between Charles and Sandra felt so real that they were locked up in the action. They didn't even notice when Veronica came in. They were still lost in the kiss when the glass of wine in Veronica's hand fell to the ground and broke. That was the moment they unlocked from the kiss. Sandra, as if suddenly waking up from a dream, gave Charles a slap on his cheek. It was as if she had been controlled while kissing Charles, unable to stop herself. But now that they had seen Veronica, the spell was broken. Veronica stood there for a second, her eyes filled with pain and anger. Without saying a word, she turned and walked away. Charles immediately got up from the bed and ran after Veronica, leaving Sandra alone in the room. Sandra sat frozen for a while, her hands shaking. She rubbed her huge stomach gently with her palms, trying to understand what had just happened. Was Charles using some kind of spell on her? She had already suffered so much because of him, so why did she let herself fall into this again? She stood up almost immediately, pacing back and forth in the large bedroom. Her heart pounded as she thought of what Veronica might do next. Would she throw her out? Would she send people to hurt her? Maybe she should run away. But where would she go? The house was heavily guarded. If she tried to escape, she would be caught before she could even reach the gate. She placed her hands on her stomach again. She couldn't take the risk. Besides, she wasn't even allowed to use a mobile phone in this house. She had no way to call for help. She thought about going to Veronica to apologize, but what would she even say? Would Veronica believe her if she said she didn't mean for this to happen? Her life was ruined, she thought. She had nowhere to turn. Meanwhile, Charles had already reached Veronica in their big matrimonial bedroom. She had changed into her pajamas and was sitting on the bed, deep in thought. Tears filled her eyes, but she tried to hold them back as Charles entered the room. "I knew you have been cheating on me," she finally said, her voice shaking. "Those one-week business trips you kept taking, I knew they were lies. I knew you were going to meet her. I knew you had been cheating on me for a year, spending my money on another woman, looking me in the eye and lying to me, telling me you loved me." She wiped her face roughly with the back of her hand, but the tears kept falling. "I gave you everything, Charles. You control my company. I gave you everything you ever asked for. Why didn't you just walk away when you couldn't do this thing we call marriage anymore? Instead, you choose to disrespect me by kissing your side chick in my house." Her voice cracked as she spoke. Veronica took a deep breath, trying to stop herself from breaking down completely. "And your side chick even had the nerves to come to my house carrying her big stomach like a trophy, mocking me, reminding me of my inability to give birth." Charles froze. His face suddenly turned pale. He looked at Veronica in confusion. "What do you mean by inability to give birth?" he asked. Veronica sniffed, her nose running from all the crying. "Yes, Charles," she whispered. "I can't give birth. That's why I never wanted a baby. I am unable to give birth. I have no womb." Her voice was so small, so weak, as if the words were being dragged out of her against her will. Charles just stood there, unable to speak. Veronica let out a deep sigh and continued. "I was scared. I was scared that you wouldn't stay. I was scared that you were going to leave. I had fallen deeply in love with you at the camp. I didn't want to lose you, so I needed a lie to keep you to myself." Tears streamed down her face as she spoke. She couldn't hold them back anymore. "That was really selfish of you. You knew how much I wanted a baby, how I wanted to carry a baby in my arms, and you lied to me?" Charles said. "I didn't entirely lie. I told you I didn't want a baby, and you agreed." "You agreed," Veronica replied. "I thought you would change your mind. We were still youthful then. I thought when we got married, everything would change and you would want babies running around this big house," Charles replied. "And I told you we could adopt. I suggested adoption," Veronica said. "I can't adopt a baby. I can't love them, just the same way my parents didn't love me. It will always ring in my head that they ain't my child. I can't. I want my flesh and blood," Charles replied. "And you have one coming," Veronica said. "It was a mistake? Don't call that mistake. You didn't do it once or twice. You dated her for over a year." "Over a year," Veronica said. "What do I do now?" Charles asked, confused. "You have made your choice, obviously. I thought we could work things out. I thought you still felt something for me, but it's obvious you have made a decision faster than I imagined. Since she had the courage to come to me, I wanted her to stay with us, so that I would know if you would go for her or me. But it's obvious," Veronica said. "You should have told me about your inability to give birth," Charles said. "I didn't want to date you in the first place, Charles. You made me fall for you. You made me fall deeply for you that I didn't want to lose you. I felt that losing you would break me down," Veronica said. "This relationship was built on a lie, and anything built on lies can't stand. You made me believe I could change you. I also fell in love with you. But 7 years, Veronica. A man wants more," Charles said. "And we never got to sit and talk about it," Veronica replied. "There was nothing to talk about," Charles said. "You started constantly drinking that I couldn't even talk to you no more," Veronica said. "I was thinking about my family, if they were still okay, and other things," Charles replied. There was a minute of silence in the room. "A few days ago, When Sandra came into this house and told me she was pregnant for you, it broke me, Veronica said. I'm sorry, babe, Charles said. I get it. There is nothing to be sorry about. You have made your choice. I just have to move on, she said. Everything is happening so fast. The night when I first slept with Sandra, I was drunk. But the day I met you, I was in my right senses. I still love you. I know the whole incident with Sandra is trying to pull us apart, but I still love you, Charles said. Veronica looked at Charles, who was staring at her without shaking his eyes. You don't know what you want, Charles. Let's talk about this tomorrow morning, Veronica said. I will be sleeping in the other guest room, Veronica said. She left the main bedroom, but when she reached the door, she noticed that someone had been eavesdropping. She didn't know who, because the person ran away immediately after she opened the door. She went to the other bedroom and slept till the following morning. The next morning, after Charles woke up from the bed and brushed his teeth, he waited patiently for the ladies to wake up. He was about to make one of the biggest decisions of his life. He had not slept well during the night. His heart was heavy. He had told 2 women in the same house on the same day that he loved them. It felt like a big stone in his heart, and the only way to feel better was to remove it. Veronica, on the other hand, had cried all night. She knew she had been wrong. She had lied to Charles before they got married, and now the truth was out. She had hoped that giving Charles access to her father's money would make him forget about having a child, but she was wrong. She should have told him the truth from the beginning. She blamed herself for everything and was ready to accept whatever decision Charles made. The night felt like forever, and she could not wait for morning to come. Sandra also did not sleep. She had overheard Charles telling Veronica that he loved her too. She felt like a fool. She had believed everything Charles told her, and now she realized she had been deceived. What would happen to her now? Would she become a single mother? She had already made up her mind that she would never give her baby to Veronica to take care of. It was a hard decision, but she knew it had to be done. The night was long, and all 3 of them lay awake in their separate rooms, waiting for the morning. When morning finally came, they took their baths and brushed their teeth. Charles called the 2 ladies to the sitting room. Veronica was in the kitchen preparing breakfast when she heard him call. She wiped her hands and walked to the sitting room, where Sandra was already waiting. They both sat down, waiting to hear what Charles had to say. Charles took a deep breath. This is a tough decision for me to make, he said and paused. He looked at Sandra, then at Veronica. He could see the anger and pain in their eyes. He had to choose his words carefully. This is really a tough decision, Charles said again. Sandra, I am really sorry for everything. I know asking you to remove our baby was wrong. It was foolish and selfish of me. I was just scared. I did not want to hurt my wife. Veronica sat quietly, listening. I'm sorry for leading you on, Charles continued, looking at Sandra. But after thinking about it all night, I have made a decision. I will take care of our child, but I cannot marry you. I am already married, and I still love Veronica. I cannot destroy what we have. I am truly sorry. Tears rolled down Sandra's face. She could not tell if she was crying because she had lost the man she loved or because she was finally free from the pain she had been carrying for days. Charles turned to Veronica. My dear wife, I am deeply sorry for hurting you. I don't know what came over me. I thought I wanted more, but I now realize that you are all I ever needed. But I lied, Veronica said, tears in her eyes. I lied too, Charles replied. We all lied. I am sorry for lying. Tears streamed down Veronica's face. Charles looked at Sandra. You will stay with your friend Lucy in your apartment until I find another place for you. We don't need any more problems than we already have. I will come from time to check on you and the baby. When the baby is born, he will always be welcome in this house. He is family. Sandra felt betrayed. She had been played, just as she feared. After everything, Sandra was taken to her apartment, where she stayed with her friend Lucy for a few months, before Charles rented another apartment for her. After things settled down, Charles and Veronica visited Chief Williams, Veronica's father. When they arrived, Chief Williams spoke first. "I heard everything that happened between you and my daughter," he said. "I am proud of how you handled it. I also apologize on behalf of my daughter for lying to you. Thank you for forgiving her." Charles and Veronica left the house feeling relieved. As Charles drove home, he was happy. He had not lost what he had spent years building. A few months later, Sandra gave birth to a baby boy. Charles and Veronica went to visit her. As a single lady, if you continue dating a married man because he promises to divorce his wife, you are taking a big risk. A man can say anything just to get what he wants. He knows why he married his wife. As the other woman, it will take the grace of God for you to break whatever he has with his wife. That morning, after Charles made it clear to Sandra that he could not marry her, Sandra felt completely broken. She had lost everything she thought she had. But at that time, Sandra had not yet realized that everything Charles owned was because of Veronica. Veronica was a kind-hearted woman. Even after all that had happened, she allowed Charles to take care of the baby with her money. Within a month, a house was built for Sandra. After moving out of Charles and Veronica's house, Sandra returned to her former apartment, where her roommate Lucy was waiting for her. Lucy was not happy with Sandra. She had something on her mind, and when Sandra arrived, Lucy did not waste time asking her the question that had been troubling her. "Why didn't you tell me that you had a relationship with our boss?" Lucy asked, looking at Sandra with disappointment. Sandra was silent for a moment. She had no excuse, but she tried to explain. "I don't know what happened to me," Sandra said. "It was like I was under a spell. Charles told me not to tell anyone." Lucy was hurt. "I thought we shared everything," she said. "I thought we were friends. We always told each other our deepest secrets. Now I feel like I don't even know you anymore." Sandra felt guilty. She knew Lucy was right. She should have told her. She should not have kept it a secret. She apologized to Lucy, and after some time, Lucy forgave her. Months passed, and Charles began to feel restless. The family drama with Sandra and Veronica had made him think about his own family. For years, he never spoke about his family. He told Veronica that his parents were dead, but that was not true. The truth was that Charles had left his family many years ago, and he had never looked back. He had been a stubborn child. His father was a strict man, always hard on him, always correcting him. Charles felt unloved, and one day he left and never returned. But now, something in his heart told him it was time to go back. It had been over 15 years since he last saw his family. He did not know how they would receive him, but he had to find out. So one morning, Charles got into his car and drove to his family home in the village. He still remembered the house. The memories came rushing back as he drove through the familiar roads. When he arrived, he saw his father sitting under the big mango tree in their compound. His father looked older now, with gray hair and a tired face. As soon as Charles stepped out of the car, his father looked up. For a moment, he just stared. Then he struggled to stand up, trying to make sure his eyes were not deceiving him. "Charles?" his father called, his voice shaking. Charles nodded. "We did not hear from you again," his father said. "We thought you were dead. You never said a word." "I'm here now," Charles replied. At that moment, his mother came out of the house. When she saw Charles, she gasped. Her eyes widened with shock and happiness. "Charles!" she screamed, running to him. She held him tightly, tears streaming down her face. Like the prodigal son in the Bible, Charles was welcomed back home. His parents took him inside, and his mother rushed to the kitchen to prepare food for him. Charles looked around the house. Everything had changed. The walls had fresh paint, the furniture looked new, and the house was beautifully decorated. His parents had really taken care of the house in his absence. As he sat down, he saw old family pictures on the wall. He saw pictures of himself as a child. And then, his eyes fell on a picture of him with his younger brother, Benjamin. His mother returned with a plate of steaming hot simo and a goosey soup. Charles ate while his parents watched him, happy to have him back. After he finished eating, his father looked at him. "Why did you leave without looking back?" his father asked. Charles took a deep breath. "You were too hard on me," he said. His father sighed. "You were a stubborn child," he said. "You never listened." Charles hesitated. Then he spoke again. "That was not the only reason I left," he said. "Before I ran away, I overheard you talking about adoption. I thought you were strict with me because I was not your real son. I thought you loved Benjamin more because he was your real child. That is why I left. That is why I never came back." His father looked at him with surprise. "You heard that conversation?" his father asked. Charles nodded. His father sat quietly for a moment, thinking. Then he shook his head. "That day, you made me very angry," his father said. "I was so frustrated that I said I should have adopted you instead of your younger brother. But Charles, Benjamin was the one who was adopted, not you." Charles was shocked. His father continued. "Benjamin's parents were my best friends. They died in an accident when he was a baby. Before they died, they begged me to take care of him. You were just 2 years old when we adopted him. You were still a baby." Charles felt a deep regret in his heart. All these years, he had believed a lie. He had abandoned his family over something that was never true. "I'm sorry," Charles said after a long pause. "Where is my brother now?" "He is abroad," his mother said. "He still calls and takes care of us. He built this house for us. Even after we told him the truth, he still treats us like his real parents." Charles sighed deeply. "I was wrong," he said. "I was ignorant, but now I know better." His mother smiled. "It's all right," she said. "At least you have come back home." They talked for hours, catching up on everything they had missed. Charles felt like a heavy weight had been lifted from his heart. Before he left, he went to his car and brought out bags of rice, yams, beans, simo, and other food items for his parents. He also gave them money and promised to always keep in touch. Before leaving, he collected their phone numbers and also got his brother Benjamin's contact. After spending a few days in the village, Charles returned to the city. He kept his promise to Sandra. He took care of her and the baby, but he remained with Veronica, the woman who had given him everything. Together, Charles and Veronica lived happily ever after, and Charles continued running his company as the CEO of Charles Williams' firm. The lesson in this story is that we should always try to understand the truth before making big decisions. Charles left his family because he thought they did not love him, but he was wrong. If he had asked questions, he would have known that his parents truly cared for him. Also, Sandra learned that not everything that looks good is real, and Lucy felt hurt because secrets can break friendships. In the end, love, kindness, and forgiveness helped everyone find happiness. This story teaches us to ask questions, be patient, and always choose love over anger. Thank you for watching this story on Afro Tales TV. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and share with friends and family. We have more beautiful stories coming your way, so subscribe and stay tuned. See you in the next one.